Hold on to your hats, Leafs Nation. There's buzz in the air about a formidable defender that could be making his way to Toronto. As the trade deadline approaches, insiders are hinting at a move that could bolster our defense and bring some much-needed grit to the ice. Picture a 6'7" wall of muscle that could not only protect our net, but also instill fear in our opponents. This is the kind of player that could propel us towards playoff glory. Don't miss out on any of the action. Subscribe and like the video to keep up with everything happening with the Maple Leafs. The Toronto Maple Leafs are officially linked to a towering defenseman standing at 6'7" and weighing a hefty 250 pounds. Yes, you heard that right. As the NHL trade deadline approaches in just over a month, the excitement is palpable, and all eyes are on what the Leafs plan to do to address their very evident roster needs. Now, it's no secret that the Leafs are in search of a center to bolster their presence in the middle of the ice. But with recent developments surrounding Jani Hakanpää, who has stepped away from the Four Nations face-off and may be out for the season, the need for a solid, physical defenseman has become glaringly apparent. Additionally, there are rumblings that Nick Robertson, the promising winger for the Leafs, could soon be moved in a trade involving 3 teams from the Western Conference, all reportedly vying for his services. In the latest update from the 4th period's trade watch list, the buzz is all about Jamie Oleksiak from the Seattle Kraken. This guy is a beast on the ice, measuring in at 6'7", and tipping the scales at around 250 pounds. His size and physicality make him an intriguing option for a team like the Leafs, which has been criticized for its lack of toughness at times. Now, let's break this down. Teams are showing interest in Oleksiak, who has 1 more year left on his contract after this season. Seattle might be open to trade talks, which opens up a world of possibilities for the Leafs. However, it's worth noting that Oleksiak has a no-trade clause that allows him to dictate where he goes if he's moved. So, Toronto, Dallas, and Edmonton are the rumored teams interested. That's some stiff competition for sure. When you look at Oleksiak's stats, it's clear he's not going to light up the scoreboard. With only 4 goals and 13 points this season, he's not exactly an offensive juggernaut. But what he brings is something that can't be measured in points alone. His physical play is a game-changer, averaging 164 hits and 117 blocked shots per season throughout his lengthy NHL career. Imagine him anchoring the Leafs' defense, throwing his weight around and making it hard for opposing forwards to navigate the ice. The financial aspect is another critical factor to consider. Oleksiak has a cap hit of $4.6 million, and if the Leafs want to acquire him, they're going to need to either get Seattle to retain some of that salary or make room by moving other players. It's a delicate balancing act that could have considerable implications for the team's future. So, here's where I find myself torn. Do I think bringing in Oleksiak is the best decision? Honestly, I'm on the fence. While his physical presence could provide the Leafs with much-needed toughness, we have to consider how he fits into the broader strategy of the team. Are we sacrificing offensive depth for the sake of size? Is this the right path for a team that has been so focused on speed and skill? It's a complex situation that demands careful consideration. The recent news about the NHL salary cap increasing significantly over the next few seasons has stirred quite a bit of conversation among Toronto Maple Leafs fans, with projections suggesting the cap could rise from $88 million this season to $95 million in 2025-26, and even potentially hitting $113.5 million by 2027-28. It's clear that we're entering a new financial landscape for the league. And while the Leafs have the financial muscle to pay their players, the real question lies in how this impacts their internal cap structure and the looming extension for star winger Mitch Marner. Let's talk about Mitch Marner. His current contract carries an average annual value of $10.9 million, but as a pending unrestricted free agent, he's definitely due for a raise. Before the salary cap projections were made public, there were whispers about how much less he might accept compared to Auston Matthews, who currently sits at $13.25 million per season. But now, with the cap set to rise, it's fair to say Marner's camp may push for a deal that not only matches Matthews but potentially exceeds it. Jonas Siegel from The Athletic has pointed out that if Marner were to sign for around 14% of the projected cap in 2025-26, that would put his average annual value at approximately $13.37 million, just a smidge above Matthews. This raises a crucial point. If Marner really wants to be the highest paid Leaf, he might just get his wish. But here's where it gets tricky. Luke Fox from Sportsnet has highlighted the challenges that come with such an arrangement. If Marner wants more than Matthews, negotiating that deal while keeping the core of this team intact becomes a complicated puzzle. The Leafs have shown they're willing to spend right up to the cap, which is great news for fans in terms of talent acquisition. But as the projections suggest, while the Leafs may have around $28.8 million in cap space for the 2025-26 season, that doesn't come without its complications. The organization needs to be careful not to ruffle feathers within the locker room, especially when considering extensions for other key players like Matthew Knies and John Tavares. Siegel poses an interesting dilemma. How will Marner's agent, Darren Ferris, incorporate these salary cap projections into their negotiations? Could Marner's camp even explore a short-term deal, maximizing his earning potential when the cap hits its peak in 2027-28? This idea could further complicate things for GM Brad Treliving, who has to decide whether to maintain the current core or reshape the roster for a more balanced salary structure. Looking back, one has to wonder if the Leafs should have signed Marner to an extension months ago. With the way the financial landscape is shifting, a deal in the range of $12 million would look like a steal now. Considering Marner's current performance, potentially on track for a career-high season with 110 points, he's proving he's worth every penny and then some. If the Leafs wait for Mikko Rantanen to sign, that could set a new market standard that might make it even harder for the Leafs to negotiate a favorable deal for Marner. So I ask you, is this the right path for the Leafs? Honestly, I'm torn. On one hand, locking up Marner could solidify our core for years to come, but on the other, the financial implications could leave us vulnerable when it comes to building a complete team that can actually contend for the Cup. The decisions made in the coming months could dictate the franchise's trajectory for years. And you, what do you think? I want to hear your opinions down below. Are you in favor of going all in on Marner, or do you think it's time to reassess our strategy? Don't forget to activate the notification bell to get all the latest updates. Like, share, and subscribe to stay in the loop as we navigate these exciting and sometimes nerve-wracking times for our beloved Toronto Maple Leafs.